We're visiting an allotment site today on Pots and Trowels, and that's brought to you with the support of Cobra Garden and Darlac. Hello and welcome to Pots and Trowels. Well, today I'm in Boston in Lincolnshire on the Willoughby Road Allotments, which is a fantastic allotment block, loads and loads happening here for the community. And we're going to find out a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. But the reason I'm here is because earlier today I opened this brand new cafe on the site. Ta-da! I don't know of many allotments that have got a cafe, and this is a wonderful facility, not only for the people that have allotments here, but anybody that's passing by can pop in for a cup of tea, bit of cake. So I'm going to pop inside, have a chat to Paul on the committee and just find out a little bit more about it. So, Paul, what a wonderful cafe you've got here. Isn't this fantastic?
Thank you, yeah, amazing.
It is. So how did this all come about?
It came about because through the pandemic we saw people who were looking for somewhere to eat, somewhere local, and after consultation with the plot holders and the council, we decided to bite the bullet and open a cafe, which sounded easier than what it was. And because we was next to the hospital as well, and we've got a new nature reserve next door to us, we thought, well, it's got some footfall and that. And then we hit the perils of planning.
Oh, right.
So, but eventually we got there.
Yeah.
And the building was installed. We had a kitchen donated to us. And through the National Lottery, which supports us, we had a fund of 107,000 over 5 years to do community projects, and this was part of the community.
Right.
So we decided to open a cafe, and this is what you see.
Well, I think it's amazing, and thank you for inviting me down today. And one of the great things about this cafe is it's going to be all the produce off the allotments is going to be used in here. So the food is cooked with fresh ingredients, isn't it?
Everything we can do comes off the allotment. So if we did, for example, we made a frittata, we could do it with peppers in season. We could do it with sweet potatoes. We do sweet potatoes and courgette. We do a salad with that, so the salad comes off the allotment. Beetroot, spring onions, lettuce, everything comes off the plot as much as possible. I think
it's absolutely great, and I've tried a bit of your courgette cake today because you are the baker as well, aren't you? You do the baking.
I do a little bit of baking, yeah. Yes, I do baking, yeah. We do courgette cake, rhubarb cake, anything what's got some sort of vegetable connection as such. Even we've done honey salted polenta cake.
Wow.
Which is a bit of a thing, but we can grow polenta as such, maize on the allotment and grind it down.
Have you made that before, Mrs. Fish?
I haven't.
No. You have to get there.
So we did that, and so we do anything like that. Although we have a menu as such, it rotates.
Yeah.
So we don't have a set menu.
It's what's in season.
What's in season.
Exactly, and what's coming in.
So they might come in and say, oh, we'll have some cake and that, and we'll have lemon drizzle, something like that. And we'll say, well, I'm sorry, but we've gone on to something else now.
And I know this is not going to be a regular, but for the grand opening today, you've actually had some beer made, haven't you, by one of your plot holders?
Yes, Paul, it's a plot holder. He's grown the hops on the allotment, and he's a microbrewer, and he's donated a flagon, if you'd call it, of that, of beer.
Okay.
A beer, and it's amazing.
It is. I've had only a small glass because I've got to be careful, but it is delicious, and I can see the line has only gone to there. So what's going to happen to that tonight? What are you doing tonight?
Well, I might just look after it tonight.
Exactly. Right, let's go and have a look. What I'm going to do, you can take your pinny off, and then we'll go outside and have a look around the allotments, eh?
Okay.
So, Paul, how big is the site here for Willoughby Road Allotments?
It's 5 acres or 2.2 hectares. There's approximately 65 plots. There's some traditional plots, 250 square metres, but now more and more with today's modern world, we're cutting them into smaller plots, so people can come off the waiting list, which we've got probably 20 on the waiting list now. Mm-hmm. So, and at the end of the day, you don't need a large plot anyway to grow
No,
stuff.
because you'd grow so much, but it's also the time you'd have to spend on it, isn't it?
That's right. And that's what it is now. People's 24/7, they've got busy lives, but if they've got a smaller plot, they can just come and dip in, dip out, like that. It's probably the older traditional ones who've got the bigger plots where they can come, get away from anywhere. We find it more and more that people, and we get more families now than where we did before.
Yeah, that's good, yes.
We're changing that perspective now of,
When I came to first see you 3-4 years ago now, there was I think it was a young Polish family just starting, a mother and a father and a daughter, and it was completely overgrown because you have a lot of Polish and Eastern Europeans on the site as well because of the nature of the work in this area, don't you?
Yeah, we do. I think 30% we've got foreign nationals, so we've got Lithuanian, Romanian, Polish, so we've got some consultants who are Indian origin, and so and yes, we've still got every plot a Polish or foreign national take within a week. You can guarantee it's going to be clear.
Yeah.
And the best thing about working with foreign nationals is they've got different ways of growing.
Yeah.
They're growing different things.
Exactly, yeah. So everybody's learning from
Yeah,
each
that's
other,
right.
aren't they?
Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah. They're swapping seeds, or they're swapping recipes, or so that's really good, and it's really good for integration.
Yes.
Yeah, it's especially with the influx of foreign nationals, but here they're really good, and very interesting to talk to.
And you're very close to the main hospital, the Pilgrim Hospital here, aren't you? And I know quite a lot of the staff come down and do things on the allotment as well, don't they?
They do. We've got a community raised bed area, and we've also got Nature's Happy Space. Nature's Happy Space, NHS. And so we get a lot of consultants coming down. We've got clerical staff, we've got nurses, and we've got all sorts of people who come down there, get away from the stresses and strains of working in the NHS.
It just proves, doesn't it, gardening is good for your well-being.
It is,
It's just a place to just chill out.
Especially on a day
like this. Can we look at the community
Yeah,
area?
sure, let's go.
Let's go
Yeah.
and have a look at that.
Let's go.
Sounds interesting. So, what happens in this area then?
So this is a community raised bed area, what we've put away, and since we've turned ourselves into an association now, we work more with the community. So we've got community areas dotted about the allotments, and this one was created because people didn't want a big plot or didn't want to work any plot, so we created these raised beds.
Yeah.
For people to use.
And they can just do what they want in it and come whenever they want. And do you find that when people have been growing in just one of these pallet beds, that after a year or two they think, oh, I would like a little plot, and they
Yes.
move on to something bigger?
Yes, yeah. There's one or two who do that, and if we can facilitate that, then we'll do that.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It does give them an idea that they can grow a bit more, and they can take away the food and use the food.
Absolutely. I love this one because they've actually made maximum use of space, because they've got 2 raised beds and then they've put a trellis on, and there's some pretty big, I don't know what they are, there's some sort of a squash or something hanging in there, but there's some big fruits. Just look in there, Mrs. Fish, if you can get the, look at that whopper growing in there. It's like a squash or something similar. So no, it's a good idea, that, isn't it? Because it doesn't overface people. If you give them a big plot, they don't know what to do. But with this,
In fact, these two raised beds are 2 consultants from the hospital,
right?
and they can come in, they can dip in and dip out, and they grow all sorts of amaranth and different variations of food and that. So then they're quite happy to come and get some out in the fresh air.
It's good for them because they can pop down here, they can pop into the cafe, so it's like a second home for them.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
isn't
it is. Yeah. It's good to have them. Yeah.
And you also do a thing on the allotments. That do you supply surplus produce that all the allotmenters donate as a food bank, don't you?
We supply 3 food banks. We have a guy who works at a fruit produce factory, and we get 5 boxes of apples and pears and plums donated to us, and then we pass that on to the food bank. Anybody and all the plot holders, any spare surplus food, we collect, and then we take to the food banks once a week. And we've been doing that since the 3rd week of the pandemic.
Right.
I think we've only missed a couple of weeks there.
That's brilliant. It means nothing goes to waste, does it?
No, it doesn't.
And people are getting fresh produce that probably wouldn't be able to go out and buy it.
They wouldn't, no. And perhaps the plot holder might have surplus food and probably put it on his compost heap.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have to be spot on.
No.
So
Wonky veg.
Wonky veg.
Exactly.
Wonky veg. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it goes there, and we pass it on, and hopefully people will use it.
I think that's great. I want to go in this place here. You've got the Nature's Happy
Happy
Space.
Space.
Let's go and have a look at that.
Nature's Happy Space. There's some pumpkins, look.
Yeah, look at those. They're whoppers, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, yeah.
Paul, we're sitting in this lovely tranquil corner of the allotment. So how did this all come about?
This area itself was a derelict corner of the allotment, never been worked on, and through the pandemic we found that people wanted to get away, especially from the hospital, working in the hospital. So we had an idea of like perhaps we could turn this into something a bit more relaxing for people to come. So with their friends from the Polish community who had plots, so they repurposed the shed. We had a guy who donated the turf. We had donations of plants, installed an edible hedge, and we thought, well, hopefully we can like get people to come and use it. And what we found over the last couple of years is that we've got doctors and nurses and clerical staff and all sorts coming from the NHS. We've got people who like to just come and sit and relax, like to pass through. They know it's here, they can come, they can have a cup of tea. In fact, the bench we sat on now, it was actually painted by a consultant who had a plot but decided probably not to work it, and he wanted to do something. So he painted this, and then he invited his wife down, who was studying for exams, and they had sat down and he showed him what he painted, and they had afternoon tea together. So
that's a lovely story.
Yeah, it is.
And it's just good that they feel that, because they're under a lot of pressure at the hospital, aren't they? You know, they were in the pandemic, but they still are. So to think that, you know, in breaks they can come down here and get a bite to eat now in the new cafe, and just come and sit here. If it's a wet day, then go inside. It's a real lifesaver for them, isn't it?
It is, yeah. In fact, we have a comment suggesting in there, and we had one comment from a nurse saying that the allotments have saved my life, because she was under so much pressure working through COVID, that she used to come here every day after a shift and sit and relax, and especially to sit and read in the shed or like that. So it was like, well, that's the sort of thing we're trying to help with.
Yeah, and it's obviously working, and you've got, you know, all the plot holders are on site donating spare veg. And in between doing all this, because you're the vice chair of the committee, it's a committee that run the allotments. How do you find time to do your allotment?
That's a good question. I don't. No, we have a couple of guys. We have one guy who comes three times a week, and he has sort of learning difficulties, but he is a real worker, and he helps people with their plots. He cuts the grass, he'll move the horse muck, he'll do anything. He'll dig plots for people. So in fact he's a really nice lad. And we also make sure that anybody who helps us, we make sure we also feed them. They get a cooked meal every time they come and help us.
Well, next time I'm passing through Boston, I know where to come for a cooked meal and sit somewhere lovely and peaceful like this.
You're quite welcome, anytime.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for watching Pots and Trowels, and I hope you enjoyed a quick look around these amazing allotments. Next week we'll be back in our garden, so we'll see you then. Bye.